another tip or another trick that I want to show you, right, is that most of the time you might have a large or huge numbers which are hard to read, but you want to still perform some operations on it, right? So for instance, let me give you an example which will make it more clear for you to understand. So let's say we have a variable a, right, which is equal to some numbers which I don't really know. Okay, so let's say we have numbers like this, and this one is actually quite difficult to read. This one will be quite difficult to read. So but if we have some comments in there, for instance, if we have something like this, something like that, yeah, this one looks better. So in this case I can read it, right? I can say that, okay, we have 234 trillion 378 million 688,088. Okay, so I can read this one better. But if we don't have the comments in there, it's like this, is actually difficult to read it. Okay, let me even add one more variable. Okay, so let's say we have another variable which is having some numbers here which I don't really know what it is, but if I can put some comments in there, right, if I can put some comments in there, then I can read this thing, right? I can read this thing, right? So this one this one will be easier for me to read. All right, now if I want to perform, say let me do this. If I want to say perform some addition on this one, right, so let's say c equals a plus b. Okay, now this one is even going to make the case worse, right? This is going to be very huge. Okay, so let's say if I print c out, okay, if I print c out over here, let's see what happens. Okay, now this is another huge number that we have over here, but it's difficult to read. For instance, if you do this kind of data analysis and you want to present it to your business partner or your program manager or your product manager or your team leader, right, that becomes difficult to just for them to just read it, right? But if there are comments in there, they can easily spot the numbers and read it. So what you can do over here is that if I put the comments here, if I put some comments in here, if I try to put comma in here, okay, so let's do it for this one as well. Okay, and then if I try to add it again, let's see what happens. Okay, we're going to get an error, right, saying that it's a syntax error, invalid token. Okay, so what we can do is that we can actually put underscore instead of the comma, right? We can use underscore over here. Okay, you can use underscore over here instead of the comma, or instead of just adding the numbers like that, so that that will become more easier to read, right? So this one, if I see it like this, I can still read it, right? It's more readable than the ones that I was having earlier. So if I do this, you see that I've been able to add it, and the underscore is not affecting the addition either. Okay, however, there's still one problem. If you see the output, we still have it in this form, right? So it's not actually helping us in the output, in the sense of the output. It's helping us in this case for us to be able to read these numbers, but not the output. So for that, I can use the format string to do that. Okay, so I can use the f format string over here. Then inside this, I can specify how I want to separate the output. So I want to separate the output with respect to comma. Okay, I want to separate the output with comma. So let me run this one again. Now I see how the output is. Okay, you see how the output is. So this is how, this is one of the tricks that you can use, right? You can use underscore over here. The output, you can use this way to print the output, and then you can have it in this way. Okay. Now let's get one more tip from here, right? That is keeping counts of items. Okay, so normally we have a list of something, then we want to count them, right? We want to count them. Let's use this example that the list that we created earlier on, right? I just want this names, then let me bring it over here. Okay, so this is what we have. This is what we have. So if I want the items in there, I can do for I in names, right? For I in names, then I can print the I out so that I get all the names in there, right? So now you see that I have the names in there, but I don't know the count of these names. I don't know how many names are there, right? For instance, this is just a simple list that we just printed. But if the list is, for instance, as I said, it's like 10,000 or 1 million records, then it's going to be difficult to just get all of them. And if you want to print all of them in Python, you cannot print, those 10,000 list of, items in Python, in Jupyter Notebook or in Google Colab like that. It's going to be difficult. So what you can do is to keep a count of these items, okay, so that you can actually do it. So let's see the common ways that people do to count items, okay, and then also sees the alternative way that we can actually use, which is more efficient. Okay, so let me copy this code and then bring it here. All right, so normally what people do is that they will set an index, right, so that they will be able to count the index as they iterate through the list. Okay, and then they will keep on increasing the index, right? They will keep on increasing the index as they progress. They will keep on increasing the index so that they will be able to count the index alongside the names as they iterate through the list. Okay, so here I can print the index together with the names. Okay, so maybe let me do it for names, right? Let me do it for name in names. Okay, this one will be better than I do it like this. Okay, so now if I print this one, now you see that it's keeping the count, right? We have 0, 1, 2, 3. So if I see the last one, since it's starting from 0, I can see that there are 7 items over there. Okay, this is how normally we could have done it. Okay, but let me show you a different way that you can do it, right? Let me show you a different way that you can do. So the alternative way to do it, which is quite efficient, is to use the enumerate function. Okay, so let me show you how you can do that. So I'm pasting the same code that we are using over here. All right, then over here, let me actually paste this one. Let me paste this one. Okay, so over here, what I'm going to do, I'm going to get rid of this index. Okay, then I'm going to do for index, right? For index and then name in, then I'm going to do enumerate. Okay, I'm going to do enumerate over here, and that's what I have to do. I have to do enumerate over here. All right, then I'm going to also get rid of this part. All right, so just this simple thing is what I have to do. This simple thing is, so if I run this one, you see that this is also working fine for us. Right, so this is what I have to do. Just simple, this simple code is what I have to write. Instead of doing this complex things here, I can just write it as simple as this using the enumerate function. And I can even specify where to start. For instance, this one is starting from 0 and counting it to 6, right? So I can even set the start to that. Okay, start from 1, right? Instead of starting from 0, I can say that start from 1. So if I do that now, you see that I'm starting from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so this one of the efficient way of looping through a list of something and then keeping the count of it. Okay, you can not only tweak, but you can do it for more than that. So let's say you want to do it for say 2 or more lists, right? This is just a single list, right? You want to do it for 2 or more lists. So let me bring this one here. All right, let me bring this one here so that we see how people do it. So I'm going to get rid of the duplicate names. So we have Bryce, Imran, Chris, and Jay, right? So these are the duplicate ones that we created. So let me get rid of that. Okay, so let's say this is what we have. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 names over here. And then let's say we have another list over here. Maybe their job, right? So I'm going to name it as jobs equals, and then I'm going to give it a title. Then I'm going to create a list for that. So Brad is a data scientist. Okay, then Simran is a software engineer, right? It's a software engineer. And then who else is there? We have Chris there. So let's say Chris is a psychologist, right? So let's do that. Okay, then who else is there? Sanjay. So let's say Sanjay is a Python programmer. All right, let's do it that way. Python programmer. Okay, should be in quotes. All right, so let's say this is what we have, right? This is what we have. Now, we want to iterate through the 2 lists at a time. So we want to get the name and then the job of the job that the person is doing, right? So we're going to iterate through the names and then the jobs at the same time, all right? So let's see how people would have done this one in the normal way, right? So normally, if you know the enumerate function, then you'll be tempted to use it, right? You'll be tempted to use the enumerate function to iterate through this. Okay, so probably someone would have done, let's say for index and then name in enumerate names Okay, so if you go through the names, let me even get rid of this one over here. Right, and then if you go through the names, then what I can do is that whatever index that you get for the names, right, whatever index that you're going to get for the names, that is going to be the item that you're going to pick, right? That's the same index number that you're going to pick. So for instance here, bright will be index 0. Okay, that's index 0, 1, and then 2, and then 3. That's how Python is going to index it. So bright will be at index 0 here. Then you match the same index 0 in jobs to get their title. Okay, that's what is going to happen. So that's going to be the new job. That's going to be the job over there for the person, right? Then I can just print out let me get rid of this one. I can just print out using the F string. So I can put the name of the person, right? Then I can just write is so maybe Bright is a data scientist. Okay, then I can put the job over there. I can put the job. So maybe Bright is a data scientist, or Simran is a software engineer. Okay, so this is how people normally write it. So let me run this one so that I see the output. Okay, now I see how it is. Bright is a data scientist, Simran is a software engineer, Chris is a psychologist, Sanjay is a Python programmer. Okay, so this is how it's going to iterate through the first list, and then whatever index is there, it's going to match it with the index in the jobs, right? And then that's going to be the new job of the person. Okay, then it's going to print it out. Now let's see how we can actually do this in a more efficient way using the zip function. Okay, so in the zip function, this is how we are going to write it. So I'm going to bring the same let me bring the code here. Let me bring the code over here. Now what I'm going to do is that I'm going to do for index, and then for index and job, let me even get rid of this index. Okay, so that I can just do for index and then job in. So instead of enumerate, I'm going to use zip. Okay, I'm going to zip the names and then the jobs. Okay, I'm going to zip the two. Okay, the names and the jobs. So names and then job, I'm going to zip them together. And then when I zip them together like that, the only thing that I need is to just print them. I don't need to do anything else again. This is all I need. Okay, now if I run this one, now see that it's working perfectly for us. Okay, so instead of maybe doing this one, and then doing all those logical things, what I can do is to just do this, use the zip function, and everything works fine for me. Okay, so I hope you see how efficient this one can be. Okay, and this is very helpful, especially if you want to iterate through a lot of lists, right? So this is just 2 lists. Let me even do that one for you to see over here, right? So let's say we have another list here, right? Another list, maybe the company that they are working in, right? So I can do company, or maybe companies. Okay, I can do it like this. Then inside that, I can create a list of companies that they are working in. So maybe one is working in Amazon, right? And then the other one is working in, say, Google. All right, we have Google, we have, say, Microsoft, we have how many of them? There are 4, right? So let's say the other one is working as, say, Tesla. Okay, so this is what we have. Now I can iterate through all this, right? So for maybe names, for name, job, and then maybe for, let me do for company, something like that in this. Then I add companies here, right? I also add the company to my zip function here. Okay, that's all. So I can do name is a, then the job will come. So maybe Bright is a data scientist working at, or working in, whatever it is. Then I'll bring the company over here. Okay, so it's going to be like Bright is a data scientist working in Microsoft, or Bright is a data scientist working in Amazon, right? Or maybe Simran is a software engineer working in Google, right? So I think this one should be working at. All right, then let me run this one again. Now I see how efficient it is. Bright is a data scientist working at Amazon. Simran is a software engineer working at Google. Chris is a psychologist working at Microsoft. Sanjay is a Python programmer working at Tesla. Okay, now I see how efficient this is. All right, so you can do it. I mean, for a number of lists, you can iterate through a number of lists at the same time. It's just using this simple trick over here. Okay, now let's see how we do unpacking of values. I mean, the normal way of doing it, and then the more efficient ways of doing it. Okay, so let's say we have a tuple over here, right? We have a tuple over here that is it contains some numbers, maybe 10 and 20. Okay, now if I want to print a out, if I do print a, right, let's see what I'm going to have. I'm going to have my 10, 20 over here, right? What if I want to print just the 10, or I want to print just the 20, right? So in that case, I can, let me bring the code over here, right? And then paste it over here. So what I can do is that I can unpack these values, right? I can unpack them into two variables over here, all right? Then I can also print, I can now print B as well. Okay, now if I do this one, now I see that I've been able to print the 10 and then the 20 separately, right? I can just print only the A if I want. I can just print only the A, right? Now I see that I have just the 10. Okay, so you unpack the values if you have the list like that, all right? Now let's say we have this, right? Let's say we have this. Let me copy this one and bring it here for you to see. All right, now let's say we have this one over here. Let's say we have another value over here. Now let's try and then run this one and see what happens. See that we have error here, too many values to unpack. So if you are doing this, if you do this kind of unpack, make sure that the numbers that you have here is equivalent to the letters or the variables that you're giving over here. Okay, make sure that it's equivalent. If you want to, I mean, just get the 10 and then the 20, what you can do is to just bring underscore over here so that it will ignore all the numbers after the first two, right? It's going to ignore all the numbers. Now if I run this one, now I see that this one works well for me. Okay, this one works well for me because now this underscore is taking care of the 30 over there, right? So you can do as many as you want, right? You can do as many as you want. So maybe we have this, we have something like that. But if I do underscore over here, right, and then run it again, let's see what happens. Now see that we have error again, too many values to unpack, expected 3. Now in that case, what you can do is to just add as asterisk over here. Okay, so that you take care of all the other numbers apart from the first two that you are storing in A and B. Okay, now if I run it again, you see, perfect. It works very fine for us. All right, so this is another trick that you can use, right? This is another trick. You can even give it a variable if you want, right? So maybe you can give it, say, a variable C, right? So C is going to contain everything. So 10 is going to be given to A, right? And then 20 is going to be given to B, right? Then everything else, that is 30, 4, 6, 7, and then 8 is going to be given to C. Okay, it's going to be given to C. So now if I run this one again, right? If I run this one again, now I see that it works. Now let me even print the C for you to see, right? So if I print the C over here, if I do this, now you see that we have A to be 10, we have B to be 20, but the C is containing everything else. Okay, so you can actually do it in this way. All right, now what normally happens is that your company or maybe your team manager or your team leader will give you a problem statement to go and then work with. Okay, then after that you have to come and do the presentation for them to see I mean your output. But normally what happens is that when you're doing the presentation, it's possible that you're going to log into your computer and you're going to show the password and everything is going to be out there, right? You're going to show the password, especially when you work from the command line or the terminal. Okay, you're going to show all the password and everything to expose it for them to see, right? So let me show you what I mean by that. All right. So I'm going to use my terminal over here to, demonstrate this kind of concept. So for instance, if we want to create a program which will prompt the users to enter their username and then password, right? So we can do something like this, maybe username. Okay, so username equals, then we can use the input function over here to accept the username. Okay, so we can prompt them to say enter username. Okay, we can prompt them to do that, and then if we want to accept the password, so we can create, say, a variable for that, right? Okay, so this one works fine. So we can say that's enter password. So normally this is what we're going to do. Then we can maybe print out something. Right, so as soon as they do that, maybe we can print out something that maybe you are logged in. Okay, so we can do something like that. Okay, then let me save this one, and then I'm going to go to my terminal. Right, I'm going to open my terminal and then run it from the terminal. Okay, now let me zoom in so that you see what I'm doing. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is that I have saved this file. I'll save this file on my desktop in a folder on my desktop. So I'm going to change my directory to my desktop, right, to my desktop. Then if I do that on the desktop too, I'm going to change my directory to this folder. So I have this folder where I have everything there. So let me even get the name from here. All right. Okay, so I'm going to cd into that. All right, now everything is fine. So I'm going to run this one. This one, I've named it as login. Right, I've named it as login.py. So that's what I'm going to run over here. So I'm going to do Python in small letters, Python. All right, Python, and then the name of the file, which is login. Right, login.py. Okay, so if I press enter, now I see that it's prompting me enter username. Right, so I can enter username over here. Right, so let's say I enter username as this. Right, and then I press enter. Now I see that it's asking me to enter password. So whatever password that I have over here, right, if I type the password that I have over here and then press enter, you see that now my password is exposed over here. Okay, it's now logging me in and saying that you are logged in. Okay, and you see that my password is exposed over here. It's exposed over here, which is a very wrong way of doing programming. It's a very wrong way of doing things. Okay, so let's see an effective way of doing this. All right, let me comment these ones out. Okay, and then I'm going to do it for you to see over here. All right, so Python is having Python is having a package called getPass, right? So in order to hide your password when you're doing this kind of things, you need what is called getPass. So I'm going to do from getPass. Okay, from getPass, import getPass. Okay, that's what I have to do. Then after that, what I have to do is that I have to, now let me bring these ones over here. Let me bring the ones that we're doing earlier on. Let me bring them here. Okay, then instead of when I get to the password, I can use getPass over there. Okay, instead of using the input function, I can use the getPass over there. All right, that's all I have to do. That's the only thing that I have to do. So I'm going to save it. Right, then I go and then run it again. Right, so this time I'm going to run my Python login.py again. Now it's prompting me of the username. That's fine for me. I can do it. And then the password. Now you see that instead of exposing the password, you see that there's a key over there, right? There's a key over there. All right, you see over here, there's a key over there. Instead of just the way that it was showing me earlier on, just like this, that I should just type my password. Now this time there's a key over there. Now if I try to type my password over here, right, now I'm typing the password but you can't see anything. Okay, if you can hear my keyboard is sounding, I'm typing my password but you cannot hear anything. Now if I press enter, now you see that you are logged in, but now in this case you cannot see any password over here, right? You cannot see any password over here, but in this case my password was exposed. So this is the last tip that I want to give you, and the most important tip that you can actually take away from these tips and tricks that I've just given you in the Python tips and trick tutorial. All right, so I hope you appreciate this and you're going to use this one instead of just doing something like the others that do not know this kind of tricks will be doing, right? So use these tricks, and this is what at the industry level we hide the password and everything using this kind of techniques. Okay, so I hope you appreciate this, and I also appreciate it if you give a good rating and a good comment to this course. All right, that motivates me to do more for you, to keep supporting you. All right, so see you in the next tutorial. Have a nice day.